dare to criticize them, saying that we are spreading misinformation or disinformation and therefore must be censored.
Alright, CSO fam, at the time of me recording this, it is currently November 3rd, 2024, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I really hope this statement of mine ages like fine wine. I predict that Donald Trump shall beat Kamala Harris in becoming the 47th President of the United States. Now, why exactly would I make such a bold claim, you might be asking? Well, it's quite simple, really. You see, everything under the sun, as far as I can tell, has been falling apart for the Democrat Party. Absolutely nothing for them is working, to the point where they're resorting to desperate slander that they use against Donald Trump, claiming that he wanted generals like the mustache man from 1930s Germany had. And that's of course not to mention the multitude of people who are leaving the Democrat Party and voting for Trump. We've got people like RFK Jr., who was a lifelong Democrat supporting Trump, and who's going to play a massive role in getting rid of the poisonous chemicals in our food. Thank the Lord indeed. And as far as I can tell, I'm not going off of any statistics here, I'm just going off of what I see on the internet and in real life. Support for the Democrat Party from the black community and the Hispanic and Latino community is at an all-time low. And then we have the subject of today's video, Tulsi Gabbard, who a few months ago decided to endorse Donald Trump, yet another lifelong Democrat. So today we wanted to dedicate this video into showing a compilation of her fiery speeches for Donald Trump and against the Democrat Party, especially against Kamala and her grossly evil agenda. Before we start this compilation, however, make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and the notification bell down below, and share this with your friends all over the place to expose the Democrats even more. Now, along with this compilation of Tulsi Gabbard is also going to be a few words from RFK Jr. and Tucker Carlson. Let's jump right into it, shall we?
There is a very clear choice in this election. I am doing all that I can to help elect President Trump because there is nothing short of our freedom and our future on the line. We've seen some of the most egregious and brazen abuses of power coming from the Harris-Biden administration than we've ever seen in our country, certainly in my lifetime. To see a person in Kamala Harris who is telling the American people that she believes in free speech, that her campaign is about freedom, and yet fundamentally she does not believe in our right to free speech. She doesn't believe in our right to gather in places like this and express ourselves. She doesn't believe in our right that is fundamental to the First Amendment to criticize our own government. We saw just recently in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene's disaster wreaked on the people of Western North Carolina and 5 other states. Those of us had some things to say on behalf of our fellow Americans about how they have been failed by our government during their most dire time of need. And if you listen to the White House, if you listen to Joe Biden, and you listen to Kamala Harris, they criticized us and called us dangerous for spreading misinformation. There is no one they have targeted more than President Donald J. Trump. And there's a reason for that. Because they recognize that he doesn't bend the knee or kiss the ring in the establishment of Washington, D.C. They recognize that he brings the voices of the people of this country who are frustrated and sick and tired of being forgotten and left behind by those in power. They recognize that President Trump is the only Republican who has had the courage to stand up to the uniparty of war in Washington and state over and over his commitment for peace. We see how they try to silence and censor those of us who dare to criticize them, saying that we are spreading misinformation or disinformation and therefore must be censored. How can we trust a person to uphold her oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States who does not believe in the First Amendment? We can't. Exactly. How can we trust a person to uphold her oath to the Constitution who doesn't believe in the Second Amendment and our right to protect our loved ones?
We have 1,000 chemicals in our food that are illegal in Europe. But the problem is not from those chemicals. The big problem is corruption in our federal agencies. And these agencies are now owned by big pharma, by big food, and big agriculture. Don't you want a president who's going to get the chemicals out of our food? And don't you want a president who's going to get the corruption out of Washington, D.C.? And don't we deserve a president of the United States that's going to make America healthy again?
I think Donald Trump's singular contribution to this country and the world is by his presence exposing a lot of things a lot of us believed as fraudulent, as lies. It's changed my life watching it. But the single biggest lie that Donald Trump has exposed is that this is a functional democracy, when in fact, it's a country oppressed by a small group of its unhappiest citizens for their own benefit. And the promise of this campaign is that Donald Trump will return this country to its owners. And that's its population, that's its people, that's its citizens. And I pray fervently that that happens. I mean it. That's why I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
We have seen from the very beginning how much President Trump has been attacked, smeared, censored, the government weaponized against a candidate for president and a former president in ways that have never been seen in our country before. The reason why this has happened is because he is the sole person who has had the courage to stand up against the uniparty war machine in Washington and have the audacity to call for peace and an end to war.
I am so happy that people like Tulsi Gabbard has opened their eyes to see the truth and see that the Democrat Party is completely unrecognizable and, dare I say, malicious and evil, because they've shown through their actions, no matter what words they speak, that they don't care about the people, they only care about holding power. They have proven this for decades to the point where nothing they say will be heard. I mean, is it any wonder why so many people are leaving the Democrat Party and joining the Republicans? Now, another thing I would like to bring up is RFK Jr.'s mission in Donald Trump's presidency, which is going after the FDA and getting rid of all the poisonous chemicals in our food. I'm talking high fructose corn syrup, red 40 and the other dyes, bioengineered food ingredients, etc., etc. I would like to dedicate a moment to talking about that because I've been watching the kind of food I take in for years. And as somebody who used to have a chronic addiction to Oreo cookies, objectively the greatest tasting cookie to ever exist, this kind of hurts me that there are this many bad chemicals in our food, whereas other countries have no such thing. As a matter of fact, most of them make it illegal. Another thing I want to bring up about that in particular is that RFK Jr. at one point mentioned that he wrote about this in 2005, but he was silenced by mainstream media even back then. And they told him that if he tried to bring this up again, his career would be ruined. He would be ruining his own career. In other words, playing the abusive spouse card of hitting the spouse and blaming them for being hit. That's exactly what the Democrats did to RFK Jr. And he prayed to God for 19 straight years, every single day when he woke up for a half hour, that he would be put in a position to get rid of these chemicals and save our children and everybody in America from these horrific ingredients in our food. And assuming my predictions are correct, his prayer is most certainly going to be answered. Amen to that indeed. I cannot wait to start eating Oreos again. My apologies for ranting on for so long. I'm very passionate about the poisons in our food and the fact that this really is one of the biggest problems in America. Along with overspending of our taxpayer dollars to foreign countries, our unsecured border, high gas prices, high grocery prices, high crime rates, high taxes, etc., etc. I could go on. But then again, the main point of this video still stands. Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. are both great examples of former Democrats who left the party realizing what the Democrat machine has become, or, in my humble opinion, what they've always been. Let's not forget the party who fought to keep slavery, after all. Now, I'm not going to let you forget that, people. But I think that's going to do it for today's video. I am certainly glad that Tulsi Gabbard is on our side and on the side of common sense. Hence the name of our channel, The Common Sense Observer. But anyway, speaking of our channel, if you appreciate the commentary, make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and the notification bell down below, and share this with your friends all over the place. And with that being said, CSO fam, make sure to keep observing from a common sense perspective.